Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first volume of PPI Munich Forum. Greetings to the head of PPI Germany, Ms. Agnia Dewi Larasati. Also to the head of PPI Munich, Mr. Rizky Akbar Putra. To our dear moderator for today, Mr. Maulana Permana Aji, and our three speakers today, Miss Putri Nabila Nabila Putri Salsabila, Dr. Jessica Hanafi, and Mr. Iqbal Ilham. This is our first volume of our PPI Munich Forum. In this iteration of the forum, we will be talking specifically about sustainability, prosperity, and Indonesia. I invite the head of PPI Munich to give a statement as an opening.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I'm Rizky Akbar Putra, the president of Indonesian Student Association in Munich, or we call it PPI Munich. So I'm deeply honored to stand here this morning in front of you. Welcome to all participants in this room and also in Zoom, watching via online. Also for the all speakers, Mbak Nabila Putri Salsabila, Mbak Jessica Hanafi, and Mas Iqbal Ilham. Thank you for coming. Also, for the invited guests who have come to this seminar, to this forum. So we established PPI Munich Forum titled Sustainability, Prosperity, Indonesia, Vadis. So in my opinion, it's not only essential for Indonesia, but absolutely it's essential for other nations and also for the entire world. So we pose a question, Quo Vadis, or it means where are we going? So it's more than just a question about direction, but it's more about reflections of our collective responsibility to determine the future of our nation and the world. In my opinion, nowadays sustainability is no longer a buzzword, but is a fundamental requirement for our survival. It's not only about environmental issue, but it has correlation with many aspects. For instance, social justice and economic vitality. That's why in the second word we have prosperity. Prosperity, the shared dream of every nation. So today we come here together in this room. We would like to know, we would like to learn, we would like to understand how sustainability and prosperity can coexist and can complement each other. So yeah, let's listen our great speakers. I hope we will have a great or a constructive dialogue. And yeah, of course, I encourage all of you to actively participate, ask challenging questions, and then share your insights. And the most importantly is collaborate. And on behalf of PPI Munich, again, I would like to express my gratitude for all the speakers and then for the participants in this room and in Zoom. Also to the sponsor, Indonesian Embassy in Berlin, and of course, especially for the committee who have made this seminar possible. In closing, I hope you enjoy this seminar. We have snacks and drinks back there, so you can have it during the seminar, during the forum. And I hope you enjoy the forum. Thank you for your attention, and yeah, let the discussion begin. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Rizky Akbar Putra. Next, I would like to invite the president of PPI Germany. I invite to the stage Ms. Agnia Dewi Larasati.
Assalamualaikum. Om Swastiastu. Namo Buddhaya. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you in advance, firstly, for the invitation for me to be here. And I'm very glad that PPI Munich make this wonderful event. I would like to thank Bang Rizky Akbar Putra, the president of PPI Munich, for organizing this event, and also the committee and the beloved members of PPI Munich. I would also thank our experts that come here today, extra special, to discuss the theme sustainability together. My best friend Nabila Putri Salsabila from 13 years ago, Mas Iqbal Ilham, and Dr. Jessica Hanafi. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being there online too, to greet us and to discuss with us this important topic. Firstly, sustainability, the definition of sustainability is meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. From that definition only, we can see the importance of sustainability. We can see how important it is to for us to think about sustainability in the future. This importance also reflected on the modules, for example, in all our programs. I bet almost all programs, especially maybe in Germany, has topics or one or more module about sustainability, even though it's mechanical engineering you are studying, or electrical engineering, or also social studies. That being said, there are many research now about renewable energy, about photovoltaic with highest efficiency, hydrogen, and fuels, and also the action to reduce carbon emission and other pollutants with carbon pricing or any other actions. It's very common nowadays in this world. I mean, for all countries to think about sustainability, and I think Indonesia has also to try to think about it, and youth also play a big role in this, because we are going to take on the future and take care of our beloved country in the future. So lastly, I would like to encourage all of us to take part in the discussions of today's event. And PPI German will always support PPI Munich and other PPIs, other Indonesian association, student association in Germany, to make this kind of events, especially during especially my tenure, but also the next future tenures of PPI German, of course. Okay, thank you once again for the opportunity to speak here, and enjoy the event, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Agnia Dewi Larasati. Next, I would like to invite our moderator for our forum today. I invite to the stage Mr. Maulana Permana Aji.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for attending today's session. Thank you also to all online participants who are also attending from Indonesia, from Germany, and from Europe. So I guess we can just get straight to our main event, which is the speaker session. And before that, a small introduction from my side and also the speakers for today. So my name is Maulana. I study here at the Technical University of Munich. And yeah, my background is environmental assessment of various things. And next. And for our first speaker, we will have Nabila Putri. So she finished her studies at the ETH Zurich and is the first Indonesian to be awarded the ETH Excellence Scholarship, and is also active in the youth energy transition community. For our second speaker, we have Dr. Jessica Hanafi, who is joining us online from Indonesia. She has a PhD in life cycle engineering and specializes in sustainability assessments, and is a founder of PT Lifecycle Indonesia, and is very active also in the Indonesian community with developing guidelines for life cycle assessment. And thirdly, we have Mr. Iqbal Ilham, who joined us. Mr. Iqbal works at the Technical University of Munich and has a background in resource and environmental economics, with more than 5 years of experience in the sustainability scene, and has been involved in various public and private sector projects in Indonesia in related to energy and sustainability. So yeah, without further ado, I would like to welcome the first speaker to the stage to give her speech.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me in this session. Before we begin, I would like to thank the organizer, Indonesian Student Association of Munich. I feel very honored to be here. And today I will deliver a presentation on the integral role of youth in advancing sustainable energy and climate goals. Next slide. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nabila Putri Salsabila. A bit of background of myself. I'm 25 years old. I'm originally from Jakarta, Indonesia. And I recently just concluded my master's study at ETH Zurich in Switzerland. I majored in environmental systems and policy with a minor in sustainable energy use. And I pursued my bachelor's degree in the University of Indonesia, majoring in bioprocess chemical engineering. And currently I'm working as a climate policy analyst at New Climate Institute. It's a Berlin-based climate think tank. But please note that I'm not representing my organizations. The views here are my own. And last year I did my summer internship at McKinsey & Company in their sustainability consulting arm. And before I begin my master's, I also serve as the Southeast Asia Regional Coordinator for Global Youth Energy Outlook at Student Energy, where I engage 5,000 youth in Southeast Asia and the Pacific to listen to their energy and climate aspirations. And I presented the findings and recommendations at COP26 in Glasgow. And next slide. So let's take a look at our discussion point today. The agenda is primarily divided into 3 segments. The first is I will be setting the scene to give you an overview of understanding the urgency of climate crisis, and then we will dive into the solutions, how we can transition from our current business as usual practice to sustainable futures, and lastly, we will talk about the significant role of young people in driving the changes we wish to see. Next slide. Okay, so let's dive into the first topic. Next slide. Okay, so in order to comprehend the urgency and the complexity of climate crisis, I will explore it through the lens of 5W and 1H. So what is climate crisis? Climate crisis, I believe most of you must learn this concept already because you are majoring in sustainable resources management. But let me reiterate it again. So climate crisis refers to the significant alterations of climate patterns and increased global temperatures, which cause rising sea levels and extreme weather events like drought and heavy rainfalls. And the primary culprits are human activities, especially the burning of fossil fuels and that release million tons of greenhouse gas emissions to the atmosphere, and also deforestation, which interferes the Earth's ability to absorb and store carbon. And this imbalance cause the greenhouse gas emissions to trap excessive solar heat and radiation in the atmosphere, and this leads to global warming. And climate crisis is basically a global phenomenon, but its impacts are most severe in developing countries, in small island developing states, and least developed countries, including Indonesia. And when did it escalate? So basically, we can trace it back to the Industrial Revolution happening in the UK back then. But recently, the crisis has intensified in the last few decades. And we should be alarmed, needless to say, because the crisis has severe economic, health, social, environmental, and political repercussion. And how do we tackle it? Basically, we need a holistic systems level approach that involves diverse stakeholders and action ranging from energy transition to forest conservation. Next slide. And you may wonder at some point, why should we care about this crisis among other crises that are currently happening in the world? And from my perspective as an Indonesian youth, I believe there are two key points here that that is being the reason why this issue sits close to my heart. The first one is intergenerational injustice. So the current and the former generations, they have greatly benefited from economic development and resources exploitation, but this comes at the expense of future generations and leads to the environmental degradation and resources scarcity. So we have to ask ourselves what kind of world that we want our children and our grandchildren to live in. And the second thing is disproportionate impact. The repercussions of the climate crisis are not evenly distributed among the nations. And vulnerable and lower income groups, like those in developing countries, they face the harshest consequences despite their very minimal contributions to global emissions. And these points are the reason why there is a concept of sustainable development, which means that we need to pursue development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the future. Because we do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. It's basically a reminder that our actions have lasting complications and it's our duty to act responsibly. Next slide. Yeah, fortunately, back in 2015, countries have agreed to sign and ratify the Paris Agreement, which aims to strengthen the global response to the threat of climate change by holding the increase in global temperature to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels and pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase to 1.5 degrees Celsius. But how are we going to achieve the Paris Agreement? That's why we will dive into the second topic, which is navigating solutions. Next slide. Yeah, at the moment, we are here in 2020s in the yellow circle. And with the current level of emissions of 50 gigaton of carbon dioxide equivalent, and without any climate policies, we are headed to a world of 4.1 to 4.8 degrees Celsius. And even with our current policies, we are estimating an increase of 2.5 to 2.9 degrees Celsius. What we want is to follow the 1.5 degrees Celsius pathway, or at the very least 2 degrees Celsius pathways. Next slide. And we know our target and goal. We want to pursue 1.5 degrees Celsius. But what does it take to get there? We need to we need to achieve net zero by 2050, and we can do this by halving our emissions by 2030 and achieve the net zero milestones by 2050. And our next quest will be identifying the measures to get there. And how do we get there? We need to know what constitute the global emissions and the sources by sector. And as we can see in this graph, the energy sector is actually the biggest source of anthropogenic emissions. They are responsible for more than 3/4. And what makes it worse is the fact that, next slide. More than 80% of our global primary energy mix actually comes from fossil fuel, like coal, oil, and gas, despite the fact that they are polluting our land, our water, our air, and they have a high carbon intensity, and they come with an expensive social, health, and environmental externalities. Next slide. So taking an example of the energy sector, what does it take to decarbonize the energy system? The first non-negotiable measures definitely will be implementing energy transition. We need to pursue power system carbon intensity reduction, and this can be done by phasing out fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas, and then simultaneously we have to scale up renewables quickly, and also to maintain the existing nuclear fleet. And the other enablers is to improve our power system flexibility, so we can deploy more storage to accommodate the intermittent nature of renewable energy. And the next non-negotiable measure would be to electrify other sectors like transport, buildings, and certain industries like textile and food. That's why electric vehicles, that's why we have seen major development in electric vehicles. And the next thing is we also need to deploy more lower carbon alternatives fuel like green hydrogen and ammonia to decarbonize harder to abate sectors like steel, aviation, and chemicals. And the other measure is to keep improving energy efficiency. And then the last one is to implement carbon capture, utilization, and storage, or bioenergy with CCS, because we need to also remove carbon from the atmosphere to go beyond net zero to net positive or carbon negative. And if we are to zoom out and take a helicopter view of where these measures related to energy transition lie in the climate action realm, it will fall under climate mitigation. So climate mitigation is basically the effort to prevent or reduce the emissions, to minimize the amount of emissions that we emitted into the atmosphere. While climate adaptation, on the other hand, is the process of adapting to the current and future changes of climate. And as you can see, climate mitigation can consist of low carbon mobility, greener industry, carbon removal and sequestration, while climate adaptation measures can range from disaster risk reduction, climate resilient infrastructure, to biodiversity conservation. And it is still important to carry out adaptation measures because, like it or not, we have experienced the adverse consequences of climate crisis now. And apart from these measures, we also have a few enablers to accelerate the deployment of these solutions, like policy, finance, partnership, behavioral change, and so on. Next slide. And after understanding the urgency of climate crisis and navigating the solutions, we will touch upon the last topic, which is the role of young people in driving change. So climate crisis should not be seen as something distant, abstract, or impersonal by young people because it has everything to do with our future. The gravity and the scale of climate crisis, it requires global collective effort, and we need all hands on deck to address it. And climate crisis is such a wicked problem, or even a super wicked problem, because they are characterized by these four things. The first one is time is running out. We only have 7 or 6 years left to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And the second is those who cause the problem are also trying to find the solutions. The third one is we don't have a central government or authority to enforce the needed measures. And the last one is irrational discounting. which results in delayed policy measures because we are too focused on um, making short-term benefits without realizing its long-term consequences for the future. Next slide. Yes, so because as I said, climate crisis is a super wicked problem. We need a systems level approach to address it. And it's essential to recognize the interdisciplinary nexus of climate activism. The effort is not restricted to any single domain. Each person can bring their own strength to the table. And in the fight against climate change, every field has a part to play. And in this slide, I identified multiple rooms for contribution, from finance and economics to health and medicine and computer science. And taking an example, for those in finance and economic, you can contribute by aligning financial systems with Paris Agreement, by integrating climate considerations into investment decisions, and ensuring that money is directed into environmentally friendly projects. And for individuals in health and medicine, it's very important to understand the climate impact on human health because as we see, heat waves are prevalent these days and it can cause heat strokes. And those in working in healthcare can research ways to mitigate this risk. And lastly, for those studying computer science, I believe that artificial intelligence and machine learning development looks very promising, and we can leverage these tools to predict, for example, future climate patterns or optimize sustainable practices in the industries. And building upon the previous slides, I believe that the possibilities of young people as an agent of change are limitless. And let me take several examples of common roles. For example, young people play a role as a student. So I urge you to build your technical and non-technical skills by enrolling in courses, participating in webinars, conferences, competitions, engaging in research, and joining climate movements. And the most important thing is to apply for green jobs once you graduate. And this leads to my second point, which is the role of young people as a young professional. So youth is the current and future workforce. And as a worker, our decision to work or not to work in certain industries matters. And we have the choice to contribute and work for companies that are supporting for climate action. You can drive change from the inside and for example, by integrating sustainability concepts to the core business, by adopting low carbon technologies, energy efficiency measures, or circular economy principles. And you can always start a climate initiative in the organization. And third, as a voter, you have the power to vote for a candidate who endorses energy transition and climate action. And you can always advocate for Paris-aligned climate policy and keeping your eyes on the government. And as we know, we will have the upcoming 2024 presidential election. So please choose wisely. And I just wanted to let you know that there is this platform called Bijak Memilih, and it can help you make a more informed decision. And next. Yes, if you're a researcher, you can participate in climate-related research and development and collaborate with industries to apply these practical findings. So who knows that you will be the next Nobel Prize laureate. And if you're an entrepreneur, you could work for startups addressing climate-related challenges and form or join coalitions with other industry players. And lastly, as an individual, you can always be a responsible consumer, make more sustainable and environmentally conscious choices because your purchasing and investment decisions matters. And don't forget to always use your voice to raise the awareness. Next slide. And so if you feel inspired and are passionate about making a difference, here's where you can start your journey by applying for green jobs. I compiled a list of green jobs platform from Climate Base, Work on Climate, Terrado, and so on. And I strongly recommend you to check it out. And yeah, next slide. These are just some references that I was using to create the content of this presentation. And Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you for your attention and feel free to ask any questions.
So yeah, thank you, Nabila, for the very interesting presentation. And thank you all. So now we have people joining from Munich, we have people joining from Zoom, we have people joining from YouTube. So we would like to keep the questions until the end. And if you have any questions, feel free to write them in the Zoom chat, on the YouTube chat, or ask them in person here in Munich. And maybe one point which was very interesting from Nabila's presentation, which I wanted to highlight, was COP26. And in this regard, I think all of us, if you are interested, you can also actually participate and go to COP26. And this can be done through various routes. So Nabila is an activist, and by being active in the activism community, you can also join COP and see the discussions there. In the second option, for Indonesian students, you can contact the Ministry of Forestry to become a volunteer there. So this would be the Direktorat Jenderal Pengendalian Perubahan Iklim. They have opportunities for students to participate, and for internationals, you can also contact your respective ministries, because like she highlighted, youth participation is important, and you can get a lot of information from COP26. They also provide it online. But yeah, just some technicalities. So now we would like to welcome our second speaker, Dr. Jessica Hanafi from PT Lifecycle Indonesia. The floor is yours, and we will let our technical team give you the opportunity to share your screen and yourself too.
Thank you, IG. Hello, everyone. It's really good to meet you all, although in virtually. Love to go to Munich sometime in the future. I believe most of you are Indonesian students. Is there any from foreign nationals? Maybe IG can.
Yes, there's one Malaysian student, and there are also other students joining from Zoom who are international.
Thank you. So I will share my screen. Let's see if you can still see it. Can you see my screen already? Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it.
Thank you. So thank you for the introduction, and also it's good to have Nabila to open the scene, maybe introduce the scene, what's going on, the sustainability world. But maybe most of you already experienced as well, and I believe some of you are majoring in sustainability related topics. So my name is Jessica Hanafi. I'm from Lifecycle Indonesia, but I'm also the chairwoman or chairman of ProLCAs. It is Indonesian Association of Lifecycle Assessment and Sustainability Professionals. And I'm also the active in the ISO in developing standards. I'm a project leader in the ISO TC 207, which is related to environmental management, where I lead the group there, a working group on life cycle assessment, and also an active member for the other working groups such as environmental labeling, GHG management, and also circular economy. As you might already heard, circular economy is getting a lot of traction this couple of years, especially this the last few years. I think it's very getting a lot of traction there. So in this forum, I would like to introduce ourselves a bit. Lifecycle Indonesia, maybe like Nabila mentioned there on green jobs, we are also one of the possibilities of where you can apply your knowledge in the workplace. And later I will also introduce the association, and I will give an excerpt from my keynote speech at the 2023 Australian LCA conference, where we talk about how sustainability in Asia, especially Indonesia, how the regulatory measures, the global market influence, and the role of life cycle assessment. So I'm gonna share the company profile. So in Life Cycle Indonesia, we are actually Indonesian owned. It's Indonesian owned. It's called Life Cycle Indonesia because our aim is to have to apply life cycle assessment in everyday life, whether you are in a corporate or in your even your decision making in your daily life. We would like to be take part of it. So it is not so old. It was only 8 years ago that I established this company, Life Cycle Indonesia, as this with my partner David, and it is a response to the increasing issue of sustainability, especially in Indonesia and adjacent countries. So myself, I have more than 20 years experience now in sustainability, including life cycle assessment and life cycle engineering. But as Aji already introduced me, my background is actually in life cycle engineering. My bachelor is in chemical engineering in University of Indonesia. And then I continue my studies in University of New South Wales in Australia in life cycle engineering. So we don't delve into technical methodology in life cycle assessment, but we are applying life cycle assessment, environmental impact measurement, quantification to improve the process, the products, and everything. So that's why it's engineering. That's the engineering part of it. So in Life Cycle Indonesia, we are a group of sustainability consultants. Most of us are engineers, whether it's industrial engineer, chemical engineers, civil engineer, and so on. But we also have some communication. Later on, I will give you some more insights on that. We are also the global network partner for CIMAPRO. So some of you who use life cycle assessment softwares, you might heard about CIMAPRO. We're one of the most widely used software in the world. We have 25 global network partners, and we are very proud to be one of the network partner where we are responsible for Indonesia, Singapore, and Malaysia. So anywhere, if you are in Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, if you need CIMAPRO, you can contact us. We also facilitate faculty version, which is because we are non-OECD country, so it is still free for the university. So this is one of our contributions as well for sustainability. So our team at the moment is around almost 30 members. It's 20 to 30, 20, 25-ish permanent, and then we have some contracts working depending on the projects, and we also have some interns as well. And as I mentioned before, we are not only measuring, but we are also communicating sustainability, because I think most of us already know as well, there are a lot of information, maybe some misinformation as well, greenwashing and that kind of thing that we have to prevent. So we are trying to help companies to communicate the sustainability efforts. So maybe it comes to a surprise for you. In Indonesia, we are not that bad. Yeah, it feels like we are not doing anything, but it's because of a result of a bad communication. So we feel like, oh, this is nothing unusual. This is just business as usual, nothing to be brag about. So in Indonesia, all the companies, even the Indonesian people, they feel like they don't need to communicate it outside. But actually, the world needs that. The world needs to know what we have done, and that a lot of them are very innovative and very good. In fact, it is can be set one in the world that is also available. Yeah, but we don't speak much about that because that's just the culture in Indonesia. So that's why we need you, the young people, to help us to communicate as well. So in our products and services, we do consulting, training, corporate reporting, sustainability reports. Basically, that's part of the communication. We also help with environmental labeling, with the environmental product declarations, and also softwares. Yeah. So in addition to SIMA Pro, we also have some applications for improving sustainability. And on the basis of that, we are science-based. Everything is based on research and analytics. It's not something that we made up, but something that we help our clients, we help the governments as well to speak about what are the what we have done and what matters the most. We support national and international organizations, including the regulators as well. We work closely with the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Ministry of Development Planning, Bappenas, Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Energy and Resources. And in addition to the ISO that I mentioned in the beginning, we also work closely with the UN Environment, especially with the life cycle initiatives. We work in I serve as an advisory committee in the revision of guidance for social life cycle assessment, because as you all know, sustainability is not about the environment. It is also about the social aspect and also the economics. So this is the thing that we need to highlight as well in Indonesia, because being environmentally friendly is good. Yeah, but we also need to think whether we can eat tomorrow. So that is one of the strength point also and challenge in the developing or emerging countries. So we also help with the UN Environment in the organizational assessment, organizational life cycle assessment. Sorry, the OLCA. At that time, we worked together closely with TU Berlin. Yeah, actually, with the social LCA, we work closely with Aachen, RWTH Aachen University. So we have some affiliations as well, closely with the Germans. So in the bottom here, we have affiliation. We are affiliated with the international EPD system in Indonesia, and then in Southeast Asia. Our sister company is the EPD Southeast Asia, who is the program operator for the environmental labeling type 3, environmental labeling. And then quick notable contribution. I didn't meet Nabila in COP26, but I was also a speaker there as a delegation from the Ministry of Environment, where we speak about the adoption of LCA in the country's most prestigious environmental performance rating. So in 2021, we also helped to support the sustainability linked bond issuance. So the first one in agri-food industry in the world, and it is from Indonesian companies, Java Comfit Indonesia Tbk. Yeah, they issued $350 million sustainability linked bond, which was originated based on their life cycle assessment results. So this is to highlight how life cycle assessment can be used for many applications as well, and including identifying key performance indicator for sustainability linked bond. We also, in Life Cycle Indonesia, we also support the EU for the development of product environmental footprint database. At the moment, we are in the phase 2 of the development of the database. In the phase 1, we work together. We work closely with EcoInvent. That is one of the most widely used database for life cycle assessment, based in Swiss. And at this time, we are conducting the phase 2 for the PEF, product environmental footprint, where we help to create database from around the world to support the EUs. We also work together in Indonesia to help the Indonesian companies, especially those who are impacted by the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, which is the EU Green Deal. So we help to give them understanding what they need to do, what kind of impact. These are our multinational and national clients. We serve across various industries, which allow us to have a unique perspective in helping companies. As you can see, we also help the guilty ones. Yeah. So our vision is to be an integrated solutions in achieving sustainability towards a sustainable world, where we have products and services to help the industries. And our together with our partners at the CIMAPRO, we have this CIMAPRO core, because we believe in science-based facts and we are passionate to help create sustainable solutions, and our values and beliefs are at the core of everything we do. So in LCI, we have sustainability strategy approach, measure, manage, and communicate. And we at the bottom here are our platforms, application, in addition to the software CIMAPRO. We work closely with the government at the moment with the Ministry of Development Planning. I'm the technical expert for the circular economy roadmap development. We have 5 sectors in the circular economy as the priority at the moment, and we're working on the circular economy indicators that is suitable for Indonesia. Yeah, and of course, doing that, we help also companies to calculate their greenhouse gas calculation. There are many carbon calculators out there that we feel maybe still lacking things here and there. So we help to educate and also help to create solution for the companies. So that's a bit about Lifecycle Indonesia. You can find our website, and then a bit about ProLCAs. Maybe you can browse through prolcas.org. If you're interested to help, we are also very happy if you would like to participate as an intern there, because it's an association. It's really hard to get to get people to help, because everybody is busy. So we also invite participations from all of you who are willing to contribute to the country. So continue on. Just a bit about what's happening in Indonesia. Maybe some of you haven't been there. Been there for recently, because there are a lot of things going on here. The presentation that I'm giving here is some slides, excerpts from my keynote speech at the 11th Australian Conference on Lifecycle Assessment last July. This is showing the journey of lifecycle assessment implementation in Indonesia. So before 2010, there was limited research on LCA in Indonesia. So in 2015, government started to ask around who's the experts here who have done LCA. And actually at that time, my name came up. So that's why we established the company as well in 2015. So in 2016, the adoption of ISO 14040 and 44 in 2017 happened, and I was very fortunate to be involved in that development. And in 2018, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry announced the integration of LCA into the country's most prestigious environmental performance rating. So I'm going to talk about that proper rating later on. This slide is also the slides that I presented in 2021 during the COP26. So actually, with the proper, the Indonesian industries, the companies are expected to contribute. And the government pushed this through the commitment towards climate change and collaborative efforts between government and private sectors. And In the proper, maybe some of you haven't heard about this. The life cycle assessment is the basis for the improvement in efficiency, energy efficiency, emission, water, hazardous and non-hazardous waste, and also for the social. Actually, this one is still dotted, but actually now in 2023 is already implemented as the basis for community development and engagement. So in the regulation, there are company policies that industries have to create. There are governance expected, technical capacity, strategy and planning as well, and the implementation of LCA, and as well as the development or preparation of the national inventory database. Companies are also expected to have environmental labeling, including environmental product declaration. So in Indonesia, before we only have 2 environmental labels: the eco labels, which is the type 1, where they have threshold, and the type 2, which is the self-declaration. So type 3 is first introduced in this Ministry of Environment and Forestry Regulation number 1 in year 2021. So at the moment, 2 years from then, nowadays companies are expected to have a quantitative impact-based environmental improvement. So when you have improvement in energy, in emission, and so on, has to be related to your hotspots that you identify through life cycle assessment. So as you can see, there are a lot of potentials for you who want to be involved in this, to help the companies to go through their journey through sustainability. So with Pro-LCAs, we help the government to develop this proper LCA report guidelines. This is the first one in the world, I would say, because usually the LCA report guidelines is there's no specific guidelines other than for the environmental product labeling declaration. So these practical guidelines help to reduce the choices and ambiguities with a structured format. It is available in Bahasa Indonesia. It's not yet in English, but you can just Google it, and then you can find it and you can download it freely. And I was the co-editors for this guidelines as well, developed and edited that one. Because of the EPDs in the Indonesian Environmental Performance Rating, the first EPDs was published by the Pupuk Kaltim, Pupuk Kalimantan Timur, for their fertilizers, for downwell granulated urea. And then nowadays, if you want to check, you can browse to epdsoutheastasia.com. There's a dash, epd-southeastasia.com, where you can see the list of EPDs from Indonesia, Malaysia, and Southeast Asia. And some of them are the companies who have committed their efforts and transparently reported their EPDs. We also help to develop the product category rules, which is already released nowadays, the crude petroleum and natural gas. Please do have a look at it. You can register freely in the EPD to download and access the PCRs. Just to give you a brief how wide it is in the Indonesian context, in proper companies. In 2021, I haven't updated the numbers, but in 2021, there are 2,600 companies participated in the proper, where 435 companies are the candidates for the green and gold proper. So the LCA actually only applicable to the green and gold proper. These are the industry sectors. As you can see, are upstream industries, very prominent industries, and also might be energy intensive as well. Yeah, but they are all committed. They have done 289 companies conducted LCA in 2021, now more than that. And most of them are in the oil and gas sectors, palm oil, coal power plant, coal minings as well, geothermal, all the, the presumed the guilty ones. Yeah. But please be fair, I would say. I know in your head you must be thinking like, hey, those are the guilty companies, as Nabila mentioned as well. These need to be transitioned. As I mentioned, in sustainability, we have to think three aspects: environment, social, economy. Yeah. How many workers are currently in that industry? That is something that we need to think about as well. Yeah. So in 2021, during the COP26, when I heard about the phasing out of coal, I called my client at that time. I said, Pak, you better get ready, Pak. You better get new job, Pak. All right. He's still in mid-30s or so. So can you imagine how anxious he would be? And many of those. So when we are trying to provide a solution, we have to think as well what kind of if that would impact the industry and the community and all the livelihoods of the country. Yeah, so it's good to be very we have to voice out, sustainability is important, this environment is important, but we have to think about the country as well, in Indonesia. We want them to move forward. We want them to change their behavior, less dirty and everything. But we also need to find what kind of solution. Is there any, these solutions for transition is very high cost, high investment. Yeah, so we need to be aware of this high investment and making sure that we are not going to live in debts for the rest of our lives. Yeah, so we have to be careful when we have our whether it can be feasible or not. Are we thinking about all of those people who will not be able to find jobs because the transition of sectors, and also what kind of capacity they need to are they ready or not? So these are the things that we have to consider as well. Yeah. So nowadays we have a development of national registration system for the EPDs in preparation for the national labels. And currently sustainability is very hot in public policies. We have done food loss and waste baseline calculation, and also roadmap for circular economy in Indonesia. We have also green public procurement on the way. We also reduction of food loss and waste. We ongoing at the moment, and most of them are in the base using the basis of science-based life cycle assessment, system dynamics, and so on. We also have carbon disclosures requirement. This is actually in Singapore, not in Indonesia. But some of our industry in Indonesia is actually listed as well in Singapore. So this is also applicable to those who are publicly listed in Singapore Stock Exchange. The carbon tax and carbon market, as I mentioned before, are applicable nowadays specifically for the iron and steel sectors. They need help. So if you have the knowledge, the capacity to help them, I ask for your help, not only to judge them if they don't change or they are incapable of change, but also to help them to provide solutions, because some of these sectors, they really need help. Yeah, because it's not easy, and they have to think about how would it impact the community surroundings. So at the moment, in Indonesia, we are on the brink finalizing the national competency standards for LCA practitioners, verifiers, and executives. This is the first national standards for the LCA practitioners, LCA practitioners are not certified globally except for the American and the Australian market. But for the other part of the world, it's not there. And then for the Australian and American, it's actually from the association. But for the Indonesia, this is a national standard. So this is something that we are working on, and we are embracing it and working on how to developing it into an international standard. So I'm also shouting out to you to help us here and contribute your knowledge to the country. So lastly, circular economy is not a new concept. Yeah, 20 years ago, it's up. Yeah, time is up. Sorry.
No, you can continue. That was not from us.
Okay, circular economy. 20 years ago, when I did my PhD in for electronic waste, I tried to reach out and find pilot projects in Indonesia. Yeah, but when I was in Indonesia, try to find pilot projects, everything is absorbed. Yeah, there's no e-waste at that time. Yeah, what happened? Because when you have a phone, for example, you don't want to use it anymore. You probably give it to your parents or your relatives or even your helpers, your assistants at home. So with our social strata, I would say, that allows us to have a circular economy. And in Indonesia, our culture is not use and throw. That is not our culture. Our culture is if we use it, and if it breaks, we try as much as we could to fix it, repair, cannibalization, that kind of thing. This is an old concept that is now we know as remanufacture and refurbish. So we want to introduce that. This is the time that I told you that in Indonesia, this is business as usual. This is common practice. But what is not common is actually measuring the impact. So nowadays, what we are trying to do is actually trying to calculate, trying to measure what kind of impact, what kind of positive impact that we have done throughout the years, throughout decades. Yeah, because scavengers are there, their livelihood is there. That is circular economy already. So what our challenge is nowadays is to help the informal sectors to be more formalized, to give them more security, social security, health, making sure that they don't have the occupational health and safety. That is something that we want to introduce, because in the old days, they treat all the electronic waste, they burn it straight away, and it is causing environmental impact. Yes, now we are trying to find ways how to make them do better while still be able to make a livelihood. Yeah, so all of these are common. Measuring is the challenge. Yeah, it's slightly different to all the developed countries, what's happening in developed countries actually. So that's my last slide. So again, I reiterate the importance of measuring, because we have not yet measured thoroughly. Managing, yeah, with the proper green industry standards, and some of the work that the government and the companies are trying to do. We are trying to do that, but the word is different. The term is different. The term is efficiency for the industry, not sustainability. They don't understand the sustainability, but they understand efficiency. So when we try to map what kind of sustainable practice that they do, if you ask them, hey, have you done sustainable practice? They will say, oh, no, we haven't done. No, we haven't done that. But they say like, how do you make your production efficient? Oh, they will list down all of the things they have done, from the simple little things in, to the most advanced things. So it's just a different terms that they understand. But we can surely highlight and communicate that in sustainability reporting, in environmental labeling, and so on, to make sure that the Indonesians, the emerging countries, can speak the language of the developed countries. That's all. Thank you very much, and hopefully this presentation can bring you some insights and maybe some ideas as well. And I look forward to have your contribution to Indonesia. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope you could hear the loud applause, Bu Jessica. Thank you very much for the very interesting presentation. Maybe some points which I would like to highlight. So here in Munich, in the audience, we have electric engineers, informatic engineers, mechanical, chemical. Did I miss any profession here? So a lot of engineers, but also economists. And there you presented a lot of terms, right? So PEF, CBAM, EPD, TFCD. I mean, I'm also a life cycle assessment practitioner, and I get lost in all of this because they always get updated every 2 months or so. But I guess it's important for all of us here to also know that whatever your profession, and also considering that a lot of us in Germany, besides studying, also work at Siemens or BMW or other companies, that you will face these terms at some point in your career, in procurement, in marketing. So it's good to also know about all of this beforehand. And also what's interesting from your presentation is that you showed this ecosystem. So to become sustainable, it's not maybe just turning off the light or eating less meat and so on, but yeah, there is basically a whole ecosystem behind where you have to have definitions, standards, rules, verification, certification. And it's very good to see that also developing countries like Indonesia is taking a lead on this, and especially that you're also cooperating with TU Berlin or RWTH Aachen, which shows that actually cooperation is possible, and hopefully that the concept of sustainability is not a top-down concept from Europe or the US imposed to developing countries, but it's a global effort. But yes, I think everyone has a lot of questions which we will ask in the panel discussion later on. And now we go to our third speaker, Mr. Iqbal Ilham. So in one of the sentences that Bu Jessica mentioned, yeah, she said we need to eat. And luckily, Mr. Iqbal Ilham is an expert in development and sustainability. And he will talk more about how we can, have jobs still become prosperous, but also be sustainable. So Mr. Iqbal, the floor is yours.
Okay, hi, good afternoon, selamat siang, assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, salam kebajikan, namo buddhaya. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me to this discussion from PPI Munich. Well, we have had a lot of materials from the great speakers before me. Well, actually, in this opportunity, I don't have much materials. What I have is my experience working in the past 5 years in the sustainable development and policymaking. But first things first, my name is Iqbal Ilham. I'm currently a project coordinator for TUM Seed Center. It's a research center under the chair of corporate sustainability here in the School of Management. Basically, what TUM Seed Center do is giving a supportive platform for researchers in the global north and the global south, focusing their research on sustainable development, especially in the intersection of entrepreneurship and renewable energy. But today I'm not going to talk about my office here. So, oh. So yeah, first things first, I would like to invite you all to open up your phone, the one that you held every time, you can easily scan this code, or if it's too far, go to menti.com and put this code in. Please give me a thumbs up if anyone already done. And all good? Okay. So I'm going to start with this, a little refreshment from what Mbak Nabila has presented before. So this is a coal mine, actually in my home city in Berau, East Kalimantan. Not my home city, it's from my grandmother's. So still, I have a blood from Berau. But yeah, this is a coal mine. Now, first question, I want you guys to open up your phone and vote for this. Is the coal industry important and significant for the nation's economy? Ooh. Yes, go coal. No. So, but just answering this question, actually, it is very important. A fact check about coal industry in Indonesia. Do you know that in 2022, last year, the export value of coal in Indonesia is reaching 46.74 billion USD. I cannot imagine how much money. So I made an ugly calculation. It's enough to pay 4 million master graduates in Indonesia for a year in 2022. 4 million. 4 million, guys. I don't know even if Indonesia have 4 million master graduates. I don't know. But it's a lot of money, no? It's a lot of money. And the second thing, is it important? Yes, because in Indonesia, the energy mix, the production is 67% from coal, which technically our electricity in Indonesia is 100% from coal because we have reserve margin, but it's a bit more technical. So thanks to coal, we're here, actually. Thanks to coal, we have our PNB, pendapatan negara bukan pajak apa ya? But basically, non-tax government income, one that can finance us for our LPDP, one can finance us for our school, a supportive environment for our studying, and everything. So coal is very important. But the question is actually at what cost? So sorry for the disturbing picture, but you have to see this because this is real. This is Pak Satpam in one of coal mines in Indonesia. He has an ISPA, respiratory problem, and a skin cancer. And it's a real problem. So I wouldn't take too long here, but this is the cost. The cost of this economy is low health equality for people living around the coal-fired power plants. That's for sure. We just see the Pak Satpam. Second one, We have biodiversity loss and land use change because the coal mines, guys, have you ever been to coal mines? It's bigger than Munich. Like one coal mine is bigger than Munich. And it has economical risk because ILO says that in 2050 at least, aligned with what Mbak Nabila has mentioned, there will be 1 million job loss related to coal industry. And yeah, it's not good. And for sure, the last but not least, the global warming and climate change. It's real. So now the second question for you to answer is, so is it sustainable? Okay. Ooh. Before we go forward, who answered yes? Actually, yeah. There is no right and wrong answers, but it's, by the way, let's keep this informal talks. Everyone just want to shout anything, please do. Especially I kind of interested in people saying yes, and I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Okay, take your time. But yeah, actually, in short, it's a dilemma, no? Like, we live from coal, so to say, but it also hurts a lot of people. We can't imagine if that Pak Satpam is actually our father or our brother, for example. We don't want to do that. And we can't keep on doing that in the next few years in the future. So actually, then how to make sure one's sustainable development is sustainable? So guys, in Zoom, so this is motorcycle. Anyone that is from Indonesia, so sorry, but this is very common. You imagine there is this jembatan, bridge. It's almost like super thin, like Siratul Mustaqim. But then, if you go to the right side, maybe it's greener, it's prosperity, but you still fall if you keep it doing like this. If you go this side, maybe it's a little bit hurt because there's a lot of sharpie things. It is climate crisis. But sustainable development is a very thin line there. It's a very thin line. So you see the Mr. With the helmet, he's doing like this, making sure everything is balanced. It's not easy. So I would like to invite you to describe this dilemma. What one word would you say, or would you describe this condition? Genau. Ooh, interesting. Wicked. Okay. Basically, a lot of stuffs. Elon. Hey, Elon Musk. Okay. Anyway, it is what it is. Immoral, complicated, corruption, DPR, deforestation, injustice, everything. It's dilemmatic. Dilemmatic. I don't know if it's a word even, but it's dilemmatis, right? It's everyone is confused. Everyone is feeling complicated. How then us as an emerging economy country still want to go further, but then we don't want to keep hurting our people. So I don't think I need further introduction about the SDG, but for everyone that doesn't know, oh, everyone knows. But basically, these are the goals. Do you know why you call it goals. So these are the guidelines. If you play soccer, if you make a goal, do you win? Not yet. You need to keep on making goals until you win with the most score. So these are the guidelines. These are not the end result. These are the guidelines for us. And so I was especially asked by Mas Aji to talk about Indonesian context. But not many people know that actually Indonesia have this dream. Have anyone ever heard about Indonesia Emas 2045? Yeah, it's our 100-year anniversary or kemerdekaan. So here we see that actually we're in 2023, right? And in Indonesia 2045, we exit the middle income trap. And just seeing like this, it's easily, we can see that at least we double our economy from this. How do we double our economy if, for example, we do coal phase out next month? Can we achieve that? Coal phase out is basically a term to not use coal anymore in Indonesia or not allowing any coal activities in Indonesia. The answer is, I don't know, actually. But here are the kind of the SDGs of Indonesia, how we can achieve the Indonesia Emas 2045. We have these 4 major pillars. The Indonesian people berbudaya dan menguasai ilmu pengetahuan teknologi, smart people of Indonesia basically. Second one is developed and sustainable economy of Indonesia. And then pembangunan yang merata. Yeah, and then negara, democratic country that is strong and clean without corruption. And these are the, the goals how we should achieve the Indonesia Emas 2045. Remember, it's not even double, it's almost 150% from now, I think. And yeah, I just want to share my experience working previously. Before I went to TUM as this project coordinator. I work for IESR, Institute for Essential Services Reform. It's a leading think tank in Indonesia, specifically on energy transition matters. I work in a consortium called Clean, Affordable, Secure Energy for Southeast Asia. I work with NCI, actually. I work with Agora. I work with ITB. I work with everybody. What we did was we support the Ministry of National Development Planning, Bappenas, to make this Rencana Pembangunan Jangka Menengah Nasional, midterm national development plan. So midterm and long-term, RPJP and RPJM. So what we did was supporting them and ensuring that our sustainable development goals are being included in the development plan of Indonesia, because that's how we want it to. Now, the first question for us to kind of make you also understand what I experienced is, I want to invite you to share with me, in your opinion, which stakeholders are involved in this policy-making process, while still remembering that the motorcycle guy, because it's super hard to do. DPR, I bet this was the one that also write DPR previously. NGOs, women, parliament, DPR, the public, key industry players, everybody, corporations, governments, business, ketua umum partai, right? For sure. So actually, what you wrote here are correct, because simply we invite everybody to be involved in the policymaking process. Now, it's a bit technical, but I want to introduce you to the process of making the RPJPN, or the long-term national development plan. So we start with a preliminary study. We have this box of technocratic process. It's technical, but it's political. And there is a mandatory process, which are public consultation process. This was the one that I asked you, who are the stakeholders? Just to remind you again from what the previous speakers have said, basically you can work everywhere in any kind of industry, because what we did, we consult this with academias, with private sectors, with society groups. Society groups, what I mean with society groups is we even go to churches, we even go to mosques, we even go to minority groups, we even go to women groups, things like that. Politicians, for sure, think tanks and NGOs, entrepreneur association, and this just at least the grouping of the stakeholders that we did. But basically, the main point here is actually it's everyone. Everyone can get involved in the technocratic process. Now, specifically, again, I was asked to share my experience a bit technical, so then it's not too absurd or for us to imagine what actually sustainable development work is actually doing. So at least yeah, kind of reminder, by the way, about the Pemilu. I think Nabila also said that we have to choose the one that is promoting sustainable development. But I'm happy to say that the RPJPN and RPJMN that we made, it's been finalized and legalized, and turns out it's mandatory by KPU for all the presidential candidate to make their program according to the RPJPN and RPJMN. So it's a baseline, as a bare minimum. I think we can all agree and said that I think Indonesia is heading the right way, hopefully. But I'm going to also share with you how does this technocratic process works. So this actually just one slide. This is not even a slide. This is what I experienced. This is not even a slide. This is a screenshot that I got from the, I don't want to say the name, but from some important people in the ministry. Mas, this is what we want. Make our development sustainable, please. I was like, because basically they just ask us to make sure our GDP growth is 6%. So then we can achieve this in 2045. So, you know, in the school, we are being taught to do forecasting. But in a technocratic process, sometimes it's not forecast, it's backcasting. They give us the goal. So what we did was to make sure how these political decisions and this development jargons, guys, I'm going to read this to you and you understand how absurd this is. Kalimantan, basis industri pengolahan dan lumbung energi nasional. Basically, they only said that until 2045, Kalimantan is basis industri pengolahan dan lumbung energi nasional. What does lumbung energi nasional means? Power bank. Right. So they want to achieve that by giving us this guidelines. And the third step to do is to mind that every region has a different economic potential. So we cannot ask everyone to make a startup, create 1,000 new Shopee, create 1,000 new Tokped. We can't do that. So these are the first 3 steps that we did. The fourth step, because what I did was on electricity roadmap. The fourth step is to analyze and mapping the demand. Actually, from the sectoral point of view, which sector sih yang that will use our electricity? Turns out our household is not that much. It's increasing by the population increase. The commercial is not that much. So not many malls. But our industry and our transportation, this includes many kinds of variables and aspects, electrifications, subsidy, things like that. And those are the regions that will, in the point of view of regions, how many electricity needed by specific regions. For example, for Sumatra, they only need the blue one. For Jawa, Madura, Bali, we need the red one. It's so big. For Kalimantan, Lumbung Energi Nasional, turns out they only the yellow one. They don't need it, but they want them to be the power bank. And then this was the fourth step. The fifth step was to compare the results that we have. We first make an assumption, we make a scenarios, and then we compare the results. Basically, what and where, what kind of renewable energy power plants that can be used, and then how and when should we build it, and then basically just put everything science-based, hard science-based. Sir, this is what we have, and what do you want? What do you decide to be our policy? And these are just like, I mean, I don't want to be focusing my talk to some specific person or specific groups, but you have to know that false narrative and politics is real in technocratic process, in our decision making and policy making, especially when we're talking about sustainable development. What I encountered was about nuclear. Nuclear is a political vehicle. Some people want nuclear, some people don't want nuclear. So what we did was to provide them with the hard facts. If you put nuclear, this will happen. If you put out nuclear, this won't happen. But wait a minute, it's not that easy. Why? Because turns out in Indonesia, for example, the interconnection between the big islands, it's not connected, guys. So how do you want to have a power bank but without the cable? Basically like that, to Kalimantan. And how do you want for Sulawesi to be focusing on maritime agriculture and ecotourism, ecotourism, but they don't have electricity from the others. So these are the capacity needed for interconnection. But let's not talk too much about the technicality, but meaning that it's harder for us actually to make use of renewable energy use in Indonesia. Because in Sumba, a lot of solar power capacity potentials. Kebayang kan di Sumba, panas, and they have a lot of potentials. But then turns out there's no economic activity in Sumba, right? So then they produce that and they need to distribute it to somewhere else, the one that is used. Tokped, for example, startups, for example. But there is no cable, guys. So 2045 is like 20 years from now. It's not that long, no? I mean, building cables and everything, it costs a lot. I don't know if we ever happen to have the money to do it. These are the modeling of how much money that actually we need to produce or to build those power plants. And this, we compare this with the effectiveness. Does it actually reduce the carbon emission? But turns out we have some peaks here, we have some peaks here. And one thing for sure is we cannot just say goodbye to coal that easily, because else we don't have economic development. The simple logic is like, if we want activity like normal day, we eat one apple and one pretzel. But then when I ask you to go with me to wanderen, you eat more, right? And that's for Indonesia as well. If we want our economy to be like just this, we require coal that much. But they have the dream We have the dream to have our Indonesia's economy 2.5 times more. So we need to have more energy, right? And that's the cost that we need from clean and energy. But the question would be, do people accept? Do people accept this idea? Do people really think that, right, sustainable development, renewable energy, clean energy, blah, blah, blah. But there is no such thing without a downside, actually. For example, if we legalized, or we did legalize the RPJMN, the one that includes renewable energy development, but when we talk to Brau government, my grandmother's hometown, oh, so you're gonna close coal. What do our people do? How do we eat? They cannot adapt like that instantly. So we need to convince them. We need to increase their capacity. We need to increase their knowledge to adapt to these new changes. The second one, impact on biodiversity and land use. Don't think that building renewable energy power plants doesn't have a negative impact. We will open a lot of land for hydro power. We will cover a lot of danau, lakes for floating PV, and that will make an impact. Development of people through education. Is our people ready actually to have those kind of nuclear? Do you believe right now if someone invests nuclear, it will be safe in Indonesia? You said no, right? So there's a lot of things to consider. And it's not done because we need to still consult this and to make them convinced. But actually, as I said, as everyone is as important as the politicians in making this policy, we need to make use of our brain quite creatively, actually. That's what we did last year. I wrote a book with my colleagues. This is called Mulai Dari Sini Memahami Transisi Energi di Indonesia. You can download it here. Basically, what we did with the book is to have a very easy understanding about energy transitions with pictures, guys. And this is not for kindergartens. These are for CEOs. These are not for elementary students. These are for NGOs and directors of ministries. Because of what? Because we need to communicate this clearly and easily so that people will understand. Right. So now actually done. Done for now with the technocratic process. I hope you still open your Menti, but I kind of want to ask you, what do you think about this policy making process after I told you my experience? Does anyone even just want to shout or anything? Please welcome. And guys, this is just a story, but there's a lot of formal communications, but informal communications that is super real. Like through the book, through golf, through things like that. It's happening and it's real. And I just want to convince or underline that sustainable development is the same as any other agenda, that it requires everybody to actually do it and ask and convince people to actually do it. Oh, konsultasi dengan Haji Isa, gak semua ngerti tuh. But yeah, actually, because he had the money. And then a complicated, political will, necessary, long-winded, scientific, worth it. I'm happy that actually we have the positive mindset to do this and to actually think that actually we might have an opportunity to make it happen, although it's hard, because it's doable. But at least I'm back again with this picture. This actually represents the condition. No? Like it's super hard to do. It's super hard to do. But, and the best part is even, this is only for power sector. This is only for electric. This is not already for gas, for bensin, for aftur. No, that was only for listrik. Means that a lot of work needed to be put in making sustainable development policy. And second, a lot of opportunities in upcoming years for academia, youth enthusiasts to voice up and to voice up your innovation, to show them what you have been learning, show them what your research is for a more sustainable future. I don't want to end this presentation with negativity or it's the main message. I won't say it as it's super hard to do, but actually working in a policy for the previous 5 years, policy is hypocrisy. Because what's the most important thing is the implementation and who implemented. Like for us, for you, some of you are 22, 23, 25, and 2045 is 20 years from now. So it's like 45. I hope you guys already become a CEO or something, or like a director in ministry, things like that. But actually, this is not a jargon, but it's on you, it's on us. So actually, that's the most important thing to implement. And the thing that people actually really tend to forget, that sustainability is not about change. Once you change towards a more sustainable lifestyle, sustainable production, sustainable policy, you have to keep it sustained, else it won't be sustainable. So that's for me. Dankeschön.
Hello? Hello, hello. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Thank you. So yeah, maybe I repeat a little bit. So thank you, Mas Iqbal, for the very interactive presentation. I think he has a bright career also as a lecturer at TUM, maybe. But also an important point that you mentioned on coal and the importance of actually also calculating the net impact of using coal. And even though coal electricity is theoretically cheap, but there are also unseen consequences from using this, and we have to also calculate this. But now we are going to the discussion session and the Q&A. But before that, I ask for some patience from our online audience. So for us that are here who are in Munich, if it's okay to come to the stage and we take a group picture, which is needed for our report and also good memory for all of us. So maybe for those at home, you can take a coffee and do a bio break, and we will reconvene in 5 minutes after the picture. Dari belakang dulu. Kayak pesertanya, biar kelihatan orangnya ada berapa. Ada Anzis galeri kan? Iya. Yang proyektor itu yang sini. Oh, yang di sini. Dari sini ada dulu. Iya, tadi di galeri. Ayo maju. Ada yang ya, jadi biar kelihatan fotonya di sini. Oh, jadi apa? Oh, ininya ya. Tapi kayak enggak ada. Biar kelihatan air pada And if for those online participating, and if you're in front of your computer, it would also be great if you can turn on your